welcome to the deep dive. This session, well, it's really built for you. The person who gets that success today, it's about more than just the technical stuff. It's about the human skills.
Exactly. And we're zoning in on two absolutely critical ones: emotional intelligence, EQ, and leadership presence, EP.
Yes, skills essential for making a real lasting impact, no matter your field.
And our mission today is, look, it's intensely practical. We've gone through a whole stack of sources: leadership guides, coaching manuals, psych research, inspiring stories.
Right.
And we're boiling it all down into an actionable framework. The goal here is to move past theory and give you clear daily habits, things you can start doing well today.
Okay, so actionable is key. But first, let's nail down the terms. We need clear definitions. Robert K. Cooper, he's a big name here, he defined emotional intelligence really well, I think.
How did he put it?
He called it the ability to sense, understand, and effectively apply the power and acumen of emotions as a source of human energy, information, connection, and influence.
That's a powerful definition. And that word acumen, that's key, isn't it? Sharpness, insight. We're not just talking about, feelings floating around. We're talking about using emotional data, the energy, the information you get from emotions, to actually make smarter choices.
So high EQ leads to better leadership.
Absolutely. Better leadership, much better stress management, and genuinely stronger relationships. It's like the internal operating system running the show.
And leadership presence, EP, that's kind of the external display, how that operating system manifests.
Exactly. It's how you walk into the room, how you speak, carry yourself. It's the visible part.
Okay.
Think of it like this. EP is the well-tailored suit, right? Looks impressive. But EQ, that's the unseen thread. It's the integrity, the authenticity holding that suit together.
I like that metaphor.
Because you can, fake confidence for a bit. But if what you're doing isn't rooted in real self-knowledge, if that thread is weak, people pick up on it fast.
Especially your team, right? They see through the performance.
Immediately. And trust, which is really the end goal of presence, just evaporates. Real EP has to come from authenticity, not just putting on a show.
So by the end of this deep dive, the idea is you'll have a plan, a multi-phase plan.
That's the goal. We'll break down the 5 EQ skills, the principles of EP, into really specific daily habits. Think of it as your personalized action plan for becoming more impactful and, crucially, more authentic as a leader.
Okay, let's lay the groundwork then. EQ first. The sources consistently point to 5 core skills, right?
Yes, 5 mastery skills. And they kind of flow from the inside out.
So what are they?
Starts with self-awareness, then self-regulation, think composure, then self-motivation, but specifically the kind driven by purpose.
Okay, internal stuff first.
Right. Then you move outward to empathy, and finally, social skills. Those 5 are the building blocks.
And it's really important to stress, EQ isn't something you're just born with, like eye color.
Oh, absolutely not. That's a critical point. It's a skill set. Think of it maybe like a muscle group. Oh, you can develop these skills, you can hone them. It takes intention, it takes practice, but they can be strengthened. The more time you invest in, say, self-reflection or managing your reactions, the stronger these areas become.
Got it. Now let's pivot to leadership presence, EP. I think a lot of people still equate EP with just, being confident or maybe charismatic.
Yeah.
The loudest person in the room, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a common misunderstanding. And it's misleading.
Why?
Because real EP is fundamentally relational. It's not theatrical. It's less about how impressive you seem and much, much more about the emotional impact you have on others.
How you make others feel.
Exactly. That's the true measure. Do people feel secure when you're leading? Do they feel heard, actually seen when they talk to you? Do they trust your conviction? That's presence, making them feel confident in your leadership.
Okay, that shifts the focus outward, which brings us to this concept the sources mentioned, the whole person.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Very important.
We often try to separate things, right? Thoughts here, feelings there, body language over there, especially at work. But the sources say you can't really do that.
You absolutely can't. When you communicate, whether you're standing up to present or just sitting in a one-on-one, the other person perceives you as a single whole package.
Intellect, emotions, body language, all mixed together.
Instantly, synthesized into one impression in their mind. So, authentic EP requires synchronicity, alignment.
Can you give an example? Sure.
Let's say your words are, "I'm open to feedback," but your arms are crossed tight, maybe you're gripping the table edge.
Right. Defensive posture.
Exactly. The listener will probably unconsciously trust the body language more than the words. The impression isn't openness, it's contradiction, stiffness, lack of safety.
So the goal isn't performance, it's congruence, making sure the mind, body, emotions are all sending the same message.
Precisely. The real objective of EP is building trust and influence by showing your true purpose and commitment, genuinely. If you lean too heavily on, say, overly formal language or unnatural power poses, or that super rehearsed, slick speaking style.
The TED Talk cadence.
Yeah, the audience spots the effort. They see the performance and the trust you want. Gone. You look like you're selling something, not sharing something true.
It sounds like the stronger your EP, the deeper your self-knowledge has to be. You can't project authenticity if you don't know what's authentically you.
That's the core connection. It all starts internally.
Okay, so phase I is that internal work. Let's dive into the first 3 EQ components: self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-motivation. And let's make this super practical, actionable steps people can take right away. Hashtag Tag 2.1, develop self-awareness, the foundation.
Right. Self-awareness, it really is the bedrock. The goal here is simple, but not easy. Gain a really clear understanding of your emotional triggers, your actual strengths as a leader, and your blind spots or weaknesses.
So that when you project presence, it's grounded in reality.
Exactly. And this isn't just navel-gazing. The data shows a real ROI. Leaders with high self-awareness, they're measured as being 32% more effective at hitting their goals compared to those who are kind of operating on autopilot.
32%. That's significant. So how do you start building this awareness muscle?
It really starts with quiet observation. Mindfulness and journaling are key tools here.
Not just fluffy wellness practices.
No, think of them as data collection. Mindfulness is about observing your emotions as they arise without judging them, just noticing.
Yeah.
Charting your internal landscape.
Okay.
And then the journal. It's not just Dear Diary. You're specifically tracking emotional patterns. What triggered that defensive reaction? Why did that comment make you overly excited? How did your mood actually influence that key decision you made yesterday?
And this reflection doesn't need to take hours.
Not at all. 10, 15 minutes a day. Seriously. Just looking back at a tricky email exchange or a tense meeting, it's enough to start seeing the patterns emerge. It creates a bit of space between the stimulus and your usual reaction.
Okay, internal observation first. What's next?
External validation. You have to seek honest feedback. We all have blind spots, things we genuinely don't see about ourselves.
That you need to ask.
Yes. Ask trusted colleagues, maybe your direct reports if you have that level of trust, or a mentor. Ask for candid input on how you actually come across, especially under pressure. How did I seem in that budget meeting when things got heated?
That sounds potentially uncomfortable.
It can be, but it's crucial for aligning your intention. I thought I was being calm and rational with your actual impact. My team perceived me as irritated and dismissive.
Yeah, that gap between intention and impact can be huge. There was that anecdote in the sources about the COO. Technically brilliant, super efficient.
Yes, I remember that one. Avoided anything touchy-feely, right? Just focused on deliverables.
And she took an EQ assessment.
Reluctantly, probably. And was genuinely shocked her empathy score was so low. Her first reaction was dismissal, like, I don't need empathy, I need results.
But the data made her pause.
It did. It forced her to confront that maybe her delivery style, her lack of perceived empathy, was actually undermining her ability to get those results.
So what did she do? How did she use that data to change her EP?
It was quite structured. She implemented a 3-month listening tour. Not big town halls, but focused one-on-ones.
And her only job was to listen.
Pretty much. Ask open-ended questions and just listen. No jumping in with solutions, no interrupting. Questions like, what's the most frustrating thing I do? Or what stops you trusting the leadership team?
Wow, that takes discipline, especially for a driven CO.
Huge discipline.
Yeah.
But by consciously choosing to hear and see her team, instead of just directing them, she fundamentally changed the dynamic. Trust went up, engagement went up, and guess what? Productivity followed. All rooted in facing an uncomfortable truth from that initial self-assessment. Hashtag Tag 2.2, practice self-regulation. Composure under pressure.
Okay, from awareness to action.
Yep.
Next up, self-regulation, or composure, basically. Managing those disruptive emotions, staying calm when things get intense.
And this isn't just about feeling better yourself. When you stay composed under pressure, you radiate confidence. You build trust with everyone watching.
And again, there's data on this.
Clear data. Leaders who are good at self-regulation are 28% more effective at resolving conflicts, managing crises. Makes sense, right?
Totally. So what's the number one technique?
It sounds almost too simple, but it's neurologically powerful. Pause and breathe.
Just stop for a second.
Yes. That tiny pause is critical. It helps prevent what's called the amygdala hijack.
The emotional brain taking over.
Exactly. Stress hits a public challenge, bad news, your amygdala floods your system with cortisol, adrenaline, fight or flight kicks in, often irrational, impulsive.
Right.
That small delay, just 3 seconds, a conscious pause, a deep breath, it gives your prefrontal cortex, the rational thinking part of your brain, a chance to catch up, to re-engage.
So you move from reacting emotionally to responding thoughtfully.
That's the goal. The breath buys your rational brain time. Hugely powerful.
Okay, pause and breathe.
Yeah.
But you also need to know when to do it.
Absolutely. Which means you have to identify triggers. You can't manage what you don't see coming, what sets you off, being questioned in public, passive-aggressive comments, a vendor missing a deadline.
So know your personal hot buttons.
Yes. Recognizing those triggers is step 1 to managing your response effectively.
And once you recognize a trigger firing, what tools can you use in that moment? The sources mentioned developing rituals for calm.
Yeah, these are like your personalized emergency breaks, things you can access instantly. Specific physical techniques.
Like what? More than just one deep breath.
Could be. Box breathing is a good one. Inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Simple, structured. Or visualization, like that leader who pictured himself on a peaceful lake dock before stressful negotiations.
Find what works for you and practice it.
Exactly. It creates a momentary mental anchor when things feel chaotic.
Okay. And there's a longer-term mindset piece too. Emotional accountability.
Yes. This is about shifting how you view your emotions, not as enemies to be suppressed or hidden, but as signals, as teachers.
So instead of "she made me angry,"
It's more like I'm feeling anger in response to the situation. It's subtle, but it puts you back in the driver's seat. You take ownership of the feeling.
recognizing you have a choice in your response.
Right, and that fosters patience, self-control. You start seeing emotions as data pointing to what you value, what you fear, what needs attention. They become guides, not adversaries. Hashtag 2.3, find your purpose-driven motivation.
Okay, we've covered awareness and regulation. The third internal pillar is motivation. But specifically, motivation driven by internal purpose, right? Not just chasing bonuses or promotions.
Exactly. It's about projecting confidence and clarity that come from your core values, your long-term vision. That kind of internal drive is just fundamentally more compelling to others.
It's infectious.
Totally. And the stats back it up. Leaders driven by purpose are 36% more likely to inspire their teams and achieve sustained success.
So how do you cultivate that, especially when the daily grind gets overwhelming?
You have to consciously revisit your values periodically.
Why? Don't most of us sort of know our values?
We think we do, but day-to-day pressures can pull us off course. You need to actively check, are my actions today, the priorities I'm setting, actually aligning with my deeper why?
That creates authenticity, integrity.
People sense it, and when things get tough, which they inevitably do, you need to be able to connect the dots for yourself and for your team.
Meaning link the tedious stuff to the bigger picture.
Precisely. Remind yourself and articulate to others how this difficult budget meeting or this painstaking review process actually contributes to the larger vision you're all working towards.
And this purpose shouldn't be kept secret.
Definitely not. You have to share your why. Be transparent about your core values, the purpose behind the strategy. It's a massive trust builder.
Even if people don't agree with a specific decision.
Even then, if they understand the underlying why, the purpose you're serving, they're much more likely to stay engaged and committed. It elevates the conversation beyond just tactics.
The sources also had that interesting technique, self-affirmation theory, a tool for stressful moments.
Yes, it's a great coping mechanism rooted in purpose. When you're facing stress, uncertainty, maybe failure, you ground yourself.
How?
You actively recall your most essential core value. Maybe it's integrity or creativity or service. Then you take a moment, maybe even write it down. Why does this value matter deeply to you? And recall a specific time, a vivid memory when you really lived that value successfully.
So you're reminding yourself of your core strengths and values.
Exactly. It's a simple act, but research shows it can actually buffer the body's stress response. It reduces that cortisol spike, helping you maintain composure and stay connected to your purpose, even when things feel like they're falling apart. Okay, so once you've done that crucial internal work, understanding your emotions, managing reactions, connecting to your purpose, you shift to phase 2. This is all about projecting that newfound authenticity outwards.
Through communication and social skills. This is where EQ meets EP head-on, right? Where it becomes visible.
Absolutely. This is how you translate that internal mastery into real-world influence, whether it's in a small meeting or commanding a large room. Hashtag 3.1, empathy and social skills in action.
It's like empathy and social skills. The goal here is building deeper connections and influencing outcomes through genuine understanding. And the data here is pretty striking, too.
Yeah, empathetic leaders see about 20% better team performance and strong social skills linked to something like 37% better influence on major outcomes. These aren't soft skills, they're strategic advantages.
So how do you put them into action? What's the first step?
Active listening. And we have to be really clear, this is not just passively hearing words.
What's the difference?
Active listening means full concentration, understanding not just the words, but the emotional context behind them, and then responding thoughtfully. It means consciously fighting that urge.
To formulate your own brilliant response while they're still talking.
Exactly. We all do it, especially when the pressure's on. But if you're prepping your rebuttal, you're performing, not connecting. You're not truly listening.
Okay, active listening. What else?
Cultivate curiosity. Be genuinely open to information and perspectives that might challenge your own assumptions.
How do you practice that?
Sources had a simple, practical challenge. Try to have real conversations with 3 new people this week. Maybe someone way above you, someone in a totally different department, someone brand new to the company.
Get outside your bubble.
Precisely. It forces you to encounter different viewpoints, broadens your understanding, and stretches your empathy muscles.
And when it comes to relationship building, networking, and interacting, the advice is to shift your mindset.
Yeah, move away from a purely transactional approach. What can this person do for me? And lead with generosity.
Offer help first.
Ask questions about what they're working on. What are their challenges? How might you be able to offer support, even in a small way? It builds connections based on trust and mutual value, not immediate quid pro quo. It's the long game for influence.
That makes sense. And finally, bringing empathy into the tough decisions. Empathy in decisions.
Crucial. Before you pull the trigger on a major decision, a restructure, a new policy, you have to deliberately pause and consider the impact from the perspective of those affected.
How will this actually land with them?
Yeah.
Emotionally. Long term.
Yes. What anxieties might it create? What support will they need? Integrating that empathetic lens doesn't just help you anticipate resistance. It shows your team that you're leading with the whole person in mind. That builds serious loyalty. Okay, let's talk about commanding the room. This is Cure EP in action, aligning your words, your posture, your conviction into one powerful, synchronous message. Get this right, and your impact skyrockets.
So the opening move, often people start with agenda points, data. But the sources say lead with conviction.
Yes. Don't bury the lead. Start with what you genuinely care about. Connect the topic immediately to the larger purpose, the human element.
Like that example of the tech presentation.
Right, the presenter started with data, then stopped himself and said, hold on, let's talk about why this matters. It's about human oversight of powerful tech. Boom, instant engagement. Leading with conviction grabs people emotionally and strategically from the get-go.
And often, that conviction comes through best via narrative. Find the story, even in dry material.
Especially in dry material. Structure your points like a mini-story. Ask yourself, when did we start caring about this? What challenge or conflict arose? What was the turning point or resolution? And critically, why does it matter now? What's the next chapter?
So each point builds anticipation for the next.
Exactly. It makes people want to listen to what comes next instead of just enduring a data dump.
Okay, structure matters. What about delivery style? The advice was be concise and conversational, maybe even take less time than allotted.
Counterintuitive but powerful. If you have 7 minutes, aim for 3 or 4 solid points. Nobody ever wished a presentation was longer. Brevity shows respect for their time and signals you've mastered the material. And aim for conversational. Turn points into invitations for a response or discussion. Make it feel less like a performance, more like a dialogue.
Let's get physical now. Body language. Nerves can make us fidget, pace, shrink. The advice is start by standing still.
It's a grounding technique. When you get up to speak, before you say anything, plant your feet. Take a deep breath. Count silently to 5.
What does that stillness project?
Gravitas. Authority. Control. It signals to the audience and, importantly, to your own nervous system that you're settled and ready. It combats that jittery energy.
And this connects to overall mindful body language, being aware of how you carry yourself.
Absolutely. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin level. Adopt what they call expansive postures. Interestingly, research shows this is bidirectional.
Meaning?
You don't just stand powerfully because you feel powerful. By deliberately adopting a more expansive posture, you can actually trick your brain into feeling more confident and less stressed. You change your internal state by adjusting your external posture.
Fascinating. Okay, one very specific nonverbal cue the sources really flagged was the head nod, especially concerning gender dynamics.
Yes, this is a subtle but significant one. For many people, especially women, nodding while someone speaks is a way to show engagement, encouragement. I'm listening, keep going. It's a connection signal.
But it can be misinterpreted.
Frequently. In many business contexts, particularly when interacting with men perhaps, that constant affirmative nodding can be read as blanket agreement. She's totally on board with everything I'm saying.
And the problem arises when she later disagrees or offers a critique.
Exactly. The listener might feel confused, even blindsided. Wait, I thought you agreed. It can unintentionally diminish the impact of her actual viewpoint or challenge. Her authority gets subtly undermined.
So what's the alternative? How do you show engagement without the constant nod?
Be conscious of it. Replace the nod with maybe small verbal affirmations like, okay, or icy, or simply maintain eye contact and maybe take a brief note to signal your processing. Keep the head relatively still, especially when listening to points you might need to push back on later. It requires conscious practice. Hashtag tag 3.3, eliminating presence killers, verbal and nonverbal. All right, so we've talked about what to do. Now let's talk about what to stop doing. We need to actively edit out the habits that kill presence and drain credibility.
The presence killers. Let's start with language. Speak authoritatively, which means cutting out those minimizing words.
Yes, the verbal hedges. Things like just, only, hopefully, maybe, sort of, or starting sentences with I think or I believe constantly.
Why are they so bad?
They soften the impact. They inject doubt. Instead of, I just wanted to quickly suggest we maybe focus on Q3. Our priority must be the Q3 metrics. Hear the difference.
Yeah, much stronger, clearer conviction.
It's a simple switch with a profound impact on how your ideas are received.
Okay, what about filler words? The ums, uffs, likes, verbal air pollution, as the sources called it.
We use them because silence feels awkward, right? We need to buy thinking time. But the advice is blunt. Get comfortable with silence.
Silence is powerful.
It really is. It projects confidence. It gives your audience a moment to absorb what you just said. It shows you trust your last point enough to let it land.
How do you break the filler habit? It's often unconscious.
It takes deliberate effort. One effective, though maybe slightly painful method, is to ask a trusted colleague to literally call you out, maybe subtly, every time you use one in practice sessions or low-stakes meetings. Awareness is the first step.
Okay, another verbal tick to kill. Uptalk. Ending statements like questions.
Yes. Declare your thoughts. That upward inflection at the end of a sentence makes everything sound tentative, unsure, like you're seeking approval for your own statement. It completely undermines your authority. Record yourself. You might be surprised if you do it.
Good tip. How about handling difficult interactions like being interrupted?
Don't just shrink back or get flustered. Reclaim the floor gracefully.
How? Without being aggressive.
Use a calm, firm, polite phrase. Something like, just one moment, I'd like to finish this point, or I appreciate your input, I just need another 30 seconds. Deliver it with steady eye contact, maybe a calm hand gesture. It asserts your right to speak without escalating conflict.
And finally, appearance still matters.
Yeah.
Even now. The advice to dress up.
It's a subtle signal, yes. The guideline often suggested is dress maybe 1 or 2 levels above your current role.
Not about spending a fortune, though.
No, it's about intention, neatness, care. It subtly helps others visualize you operating at that next level. Even in casual settings, being put together signals engagement, seriousness, readiness for responsibility. It's another piece of the whole person impression.
Okay, we've covered the internal work and the external projection. Phase 3 feels like the long game. How do you make all this stick? How do you build that deep, resilient muscle memory for EQ and EP, hashtag 4.1, muscle memory and improvisation?
Right, sustainability is key. And the core idea here is that truly authentic, effective leadership is like successful improvisation.
Meaning
Meaning it looks spontaneous, but it's actually built on a foundation of deep practice and training. Think of a great jazz musician.
they practice scales and chords for years.
Exactly. Not so they can play a rigid, memorized piece perfectly, but so that when they're improvising, their fingers and mind know the structure. They know how far they can push the boundaries before needing to come back.
That's emotional muscle memory in leadership.
That's the concept. It's that ingrained sense of where and how to apply your emotional strength, especially under pressure. It allows you to be resilient, adaptable, without burning out.
And that only comes from consistent practice.
Non-negotiable. For things like mindfulness, active listening, managing triggers, you need sustained effort. The sources suggest aiming for at least 6 months of consistent practice to really embed these skills.
6 months to move from conscious effort to subconscious confidence.
Exactly. Each practice session isn't just about that session. It's building the neural pathways, the emotional agility to handle future challenges more effectively, more automatically. It frees up your cognitive resources when you actually need them most. Hashtag 4.2, the power of not now and holding back.
Part of that sustainability is protecting your energy, right? Preventing burnout. Setting boundaries seems crucial for emotional health and presence.
Absolutely. And the ability to say no effectively without excessive guilt is a superpower for leaders.
The sources offered a useful framing for this, the not now rule.
Yeah, I like that one. When a really exciting opportunity comes along, but honestly, taking it on would completely swamp you and dilute your focus.
Instead of a hard yes or no.
Frame it as not now. Acknowledge the value, express interest for the future, but protect your current commitments and your own bandwidth. That sounds fascinating, and I'd love to explore it, but my focus absolutely have to be on X and Y for the next quarter. Could we revisit this in 6 months?
It honors the opportunity while protecting your energy and purpose.
Smart. It avoids decision fatigue and ensures the things you have committed to get the quality of presence they deserve. Another related point is about consciously choosing to hold something back.
That sounds counterintuitive again. Isn't transparency key?
It is, but holding back isn't about being secretive or manipulative. It's about creating space.
Space for others.
Exactly. You hold back some opinions, maybe don't offer the solution immediately to allow others to step up, contribute their ideas, take ownership. Truly confident leaders don't need to prove they have all the answers.
So holding back actually empowers others.
It can, yes. It demonstrates trust and fosters an environment where the best ideas can emerge from anywhere. It connects to that old sales wisdom, never be closing, focus on the relationship, the long-term trust, not just the immediate win. That generates much deeper influence over time. Hashtag 4.3, measuring and expanding your impact.
Okay, we know we have biases about ourselves. We think we're coming across one way, but the reality might be different. So we need to move beyond assumptions and actually investigate your impact.
You absolutely need objective data. You can't rely just on your own perception of how effective your presence is or how well you're regulating emotions.
So what kind of data?
Could be formal 360-degree feedback, anonymous team surveys focused on culture and psychological safety, performance metrics correlated with your leadership, even just structured, candid conversations, seeking specific input. You need external validation to get a clear picture.
Like that CEO example, the one who thought he'd built this amazing, trusting culture.
Oh, yeah. He genuinely believed it, championed openness, collaboration, and then the anonymous survey results landed. Complete shock. His leadership team rated the culture as stressed, risk-averse, lacking psychological safety, the opposite of his intention.
What was the disconnect?
His intention was trust, but his impact, driven by his own high-pressure, impatient style, was perceived as demanding and unsafe. His self-regulation was failing under pressure, and it was killing the trust he wanted to build.
The data forced him to see the gap.
It did. He had to stop just talking about trust and start demonstrating the behaviors that build it, like patience, vulnerability, actually protecting his team's time for deep work, actively listening to lower-level concerns without interrupting. The data was the painful but necessary catalyst for real change.
A powerful reminder to seek that external view. And finally, for building resilience and presence over the long haul, the advice seems simple. Get out there.
Just say yes. Say yes to reasonable opportunities, especially the ones that make you feel a bit nervous or stretch your skills.
Things you might normally avoid.
Exactly. That golf tournament, the chance to speak at a conference, leading that cross-functional project you don't feel 100% ready for. Too many capable people vote themselves out of these experiences because of fear or feeling underqualified.
But saying yes builds the muscle.
It's how you build real-world confidence and presence. You learn by doing, by navigating the discomfort. Stepping into those challenges, even imperfectly, is how you solidify the muscle memory and genuinely expand your influence over time. So we've covered the theory, the practices. Let's quickly ground this in some real-world examples. Leaders who truly embodied high EQ and EP, showing the kind of impact that's possible.
Good idea. The sources mentioned Mahatma Gandhi. His presence wasn't about commanding power in the traditional sense, was it?
Not at all. It was built on unwavering integrity, deep empathy, incredible patience, pure EQ in action. He used ethical strength and emotional intelligence, not force, to lead a massive philosophical shift through nonviolence. His EP came entirely from that internal ethical core.
A powerful example of internal strength projecting outward.
Absolutely. Then think about Malala Yousafzai. After surviving that horrific attack, her response, it was pure resilience, determination, high self-motivation.
She turned personal trauma into a global movement.
Exactly. Her presence is fueled by an absolute unwavering commitment to her purpose, education for all. That conviction gives her incredible influence. It's purpose-driven motivation made visible.
And the third example often cited is Oprah Winfrey.
A masterclass in empathy and social skills, right? Her entire empire was built on charisma, yes, but also profound compassion and a genuinely relatable personality.
She connected emotionally with millions.
She pioneered an emotion-centric approach in media, used her own authentic presence, shaped partly by overcoming adversity, to connect with and empower others on a massive scale. It was her ability to build rapport and trust through empathy that defined her presence.
So, three very different leaders, but all demonstrating that massive impact stems from that combination of internal EQ mastery and authentic external presence.
Exactly. It wasn't accidental. It was the result of cultivating and projecting those core skills we've been discussing. Hashtag outro.
Okay, let's wrap this deep dive up. We've really unpacked how EP, leadership presence, is like that tailored suit. Impressive, important, but its real strength, its durability, comes from that unseen thread of EQ holding it all together.
And the key seems to be navigating that balance, being highly credible, adding value, communicating clearly, being concise, and at the same time, deeply relatable listening, showing empathy, leading with authenticity.
It's a challenging balance for sure.
It is. But remember, this is about progress, not perfection overnight. The transformation comes from starting small, being consistent.
Pick one thing from today and start practicing it.
Exactly. Maybe it's just committing to that pause before reacting in meetings. Maybe it's practicing standing still before you present. Maybe it's spending 10 minutes journaling about your emotional triggers tonight. Every small step builds that internal muscle.
We wanted to leave you with a final thought, a really powerful quote from the choreographer Martha Graham. It speaks so directly to this idea of authentic expression, keeping your unique channel open.
Yes, the Graham quote. It's beautiful.
She said, "There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and it will be lost. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open."
Powerful words. Your leadership presence, your EP, it's ultimately about keeping your unique channel open, letting that vitality flow through authentically.
So the final challenge to you, listening right now, what's the one habit, the one small action, maybe self-reflection, maybe practicing stillness, maybe eliminating just one filler word that you'll commit to practicing this week?
What will you do to strengthen your internal thread and keep your unique channel open? The work, as always, starts now.